My loving husband, who is always kind to me. Then a call came to his mobile phone.
I can't let go of my hands, so please put it on speaker.
After my husband asked me to do so, and I turned on the speaker, the woman on the phone said this. By the way, is your wife still alive? Huh? Who is this woman? What does she mean by, is your wife still alive? I looked at my husband, and he too was frozen in the kitchen. The woman on the phone continued. You mentioned something like her being unnecessarily healthy. Can't she just kick the bucket already? I've prepared that thing, but is it working? At this rate, it might not be enough. My husband, with a pale face, snatched the phone from me and repeatedly pressed the end call button. Silence fell in the living room. At that moment, I realized everything. Ah, yes, that's right. So that's what it was. You have been betraying me like this. I immediately reported it to the police. My name is Margaret, and I'm a 33-year-old working wife. I grew up in a relatively wealthy family, and my father runs his own company. My mother is a housewife. I took the junior high school entrance exam, and because I loved studying, I went to a prestigious feeder preparatory school. After graduating from college, I worked for a major trading company. I've always been confident in my health and physical strength, so I could handle challenging work. I've been with the company for 10 years now. Even though my job is quite busy, I somehow manage to handle it. That's possible because of the support from my husband. My husband's name is Bobby. We met a few years ago through a matchmaking activity. As I approached 30, I didn't have a boyfriend, let alone prospects of marriage. So I somewhat hurriedly registered with a matchmaking agency. That's where I was introduced to Bobby. He works as an engineer from home. Even though I earn more, I was impressed by his kind appearance during our first meeting. After several dates, one day he says something like this to me.
Margaret, if you're okay with it, I'd like to have a serious relationship with the intention of getting married.
Bobby's earnest gaze made my heart skip a beat as I answered. Thank you. But you do know that my job is quite busy, right?
Yes, I understand it can be tough, especially in a trading company.
I don't plan on quitting my job even if we get married. Is that okay with you?
Yes, I work from home, so I have flexibility. I believe I can support you in household matters.
Really? I also thought you were wonderful, Bobby. Certainly, I appreciate your help. And so, half a year later, we had a speedy dating. Since then, 3 years have passed. At the same time as getting married, we bought a house under my name and started living together. I continued to work hard as usual. Bobby worked from home and took care of household chores. Of course, I also did my part as much as possible, but Bobby likely took on twice as many household responsibilities as I did. On the other hand, when it came to household expenses, I contributed almost twice as much as Bobby. Nevertheless, I never felt dissatisfied. Bobby was always kind to me, and I appreciated him taking care of the household chores. Given Bobby's long experience living alone, he was excellent in handling household matters. Especially, he was skilled in cooking. His curry, with a focus on spices, was exquisite. Whether it was Italian, Chinese, or French, everything he made was as delicious as dining out. As someone who used to eat pizza every day before marriage, this was the happiest thing for me. I deeply felt that marrying Bobby was a good decision. One day in our 3rd year of marriage, I was at work on this day when suddenly I received a call from my mother. It was unusual to receive a call during working hours, so I found it strange. Wondering about it, I answered the phone, and my mother tearfully delivered the news.
Margaret, calm down and listen. Your father...
My father passed away suddenly that day due to a heart attack. He was fine until that morning, but collapsed at work and was rushed to the hospital where he passed away. My father recently retired as president of his own company and became chairman of the board. He was full of life, laughing heartily about continuing to work vigorously. I rushed to the hospital in disbelief, but by then, he had already turned cold. It was pretty hard to say goodbye to my father, who loved me as much as he could while doing his job as president. I attended the funeral with Bobby, of course. Bobby did his best to support me as I continued to cry. I have never been so grateful to Bobby as I was at this moment. Sometime after the funeral, my mother called me.
"Thank you for coming, Margaret. Today we're going to talk about your father's inheritance."
"Mom, I have a job and I don't need the inheritance. Use it as a supplement for your life." As I expressed this, my mother shook her head.
"Your father intended to leave you a proper inheritance. He had written a will for unforeseen circumstances. Accept it as your father's wishes."
After that, I received an explanation about the property my father left behind. Upon hearing it, I was surprised. My inheritance alone was well over $680,000 after taxes. I ended up going through the formalities and inheriting my father's estate. It's a lot of money, and the process itself is exhausting. Even in those moments, Bobby was kind enough to listen to me.
"I see. Your father's estate is that much."
"Yes, this is my father's sentiment. For the future, perhaps for the children we might have. And in case something happens to us, let's gratefully keep it." I sincerely expressed this from the heart. I had no qualms about telling Bobby about my inheritance. I knew he wasn't the type of person who desired extravagance.
"However, isn't that something you received from her father? You should manage and use it."
"Thanks, Bobby. He truly is a wonderful husband. He supported me not only when my father passed away, but also throughout the inheritance process afterward. I expressed my gratitude to him once again. A few months after my father's passing, Bobby's work suddenly became busier.
"A new project is starting, and I might have to go out more often."
Seeing Bobby express his concern, I said, "You've always been there for me. I'll handle more household chores. Bobby, do your best too."
"Thanks. I'll make an effort to at least continue cooking meals as usual."
"Really? But you don't have to push yourself."
"Making meals is like my purpose in life, so let me do it."
"Thank you, Bobby." In this way, I took on more household chores as Bobby went out late. However, around this time, my health began to deteriorate. I would suddenly feel nauseous or be unable to get up. Despite being confident in my health and stamina, this began to affect my work. I went to the hospital, but they only said I was anemic. Even taking anemia medication didn't improve my symptoms. In fact, it seemed to worsen. I even discussed it with my husband. "Bobby, I've been feeling a bit unwell lately." Then Bobby looked worried and said,
"Is that so? Did you go to the hospital?"
"I did, but they said it's anemia. I've never had anemia before." Bobby looked troubled.
"Then I need to make meals that are good for anemia. My work has been busy lately. I feel bad that your burden has increased."
"Don't worry about it. Your work is important too. Don't worry about me and do your best."
"Yeah, but if it gets tough, be sure to tell me, okay?"
And during that time, Bobby often stayed out late, but he continued to cook for me. After revealing my anemia to him, dishes with liver, meat, and spinach increased. Even though he was busy, Bobby cared so much about me. I'm really lucky to have such a good husband. I shouldn't make him worry. That's what I was thinking at that time. However, my health continued to deteriorate, and I eventually had to take a leave of absence. Even during that time, Bobby took time from work to support me diligently. But finally, even Bobby's cooking started to taste strange. I wonder if this poor health is affecting my sense of taste. From the anxiety of an uncertain future, I became increasingly unstable. On a holiday when Bobby was at home,
"Margaret, what do you want to eat today?"
He asked me gently as I slumped on the sofa. Well, it's been a while since I've had your special spicy curry.
Oh, I see. Got it. Look forward to it. Margaret, please take your time and relax.
Bobby happily said that and put on an apron, heading to the kitchen. Thank you. I'll take your word for it and take my time. Bobby's curry, starting from grinding the spices, is truly delicious. It stimulates my appetite, so even with my current health condition, I feel like I can eat that. I sat on the living room couch. I decided to check the operation of the new voice recorder I bought for the conference. I bought it so I could use it as soon as I got back to work. Not 20 minutes later, Bobby's cell phone on the table suddenly rang. Bobby, your phone is ringing.
What? Who's showing up?
I looked into the screen and it appeared to be from an unregistered number. I don't know, it looks like an unlisted number.
Okay, then it's probably a wrong number or a sales call. You can leave it alone.
With a serious expression, my husband said this while grinding the spices. Yeah, I understand. I returned my gaze to the voice recorder's manual. It's a high-performance one, and this will record the minutes of the meeting very well. A few minutes later, Bobby's cell phone again received a call from the same number as before. My husband ignored it, but the phone kept ringing. It's been ringing several times already. Why not answer it once?
Yeah, you're right, but my hands are covered in spices. Sorry, but can you put it on speaker for me?
I grabbed Bobby's phone and turned on the speaker to answer the call. Hello, Bobby, it's me. I lost my phone, so this is my new number. The voice coming from the phone was a high-pitched woman. By the way, is your wife still alive? I froze at those words. Who is this woman? What does she mean by, is your wife still alive? I looked at my husband, and he too was frozen in the kitchen. The woman on the phone continued. You mentioned something like her being unnecessarily healthy. Could she hurry up and kick the bucket already? I've prepared that thing, but is it working? At this rate, it might not be enough. Bobby approached with a pale face. I instinctively took his phone. Oh, Bobby, are you listening? Hurry up and follow the plan so we can be together. I'm looking forward to it. I wonder how much your wife's inheritance will be. Bobby snatched the phone back from me and frantically pressed the end call button. A silence fell over the living room. At that moment, I understood everything. The cause of my health issues and why Bobby had been absent from home. He planned to make me disappear, inherit my wealth, and be with this woman. Oh, that's what's been happening. You've been betraying me like this all along. Bobby, what does this mean? I asked calmly, and Bobby stammered.
No, it's not what you think. It's a misunderstanding. This is, just a prank from a female friend.
Right. I'm not taking it seriously either, but it did startle me.
Yeah, there's no way you'd believe something like this, right?
Right, but make sure to tell your female friend not to startle me like that. Well then, I'm going to the bathroom. I smiled at Bobby, who was sweating oil, and I headed for the bathroom. After confirming something in the bathroom, I took out my phone and dialed 911. Hello, is this the police? My husband is trying to harm me. Please, come quickly. The police said they would come right away. Since this place is close to the police station, they should arrive in less than 10 minutes. Bobby, looking nervous, watched me as I came out of the bathroom. What's wrong, Bobby? By the way, it smells good. Is the curry almost ready?
Oh, today's curry is fantastic. Look forward to it.
I kept an eye on Bobby to make sure he wouldn't run away. Whether he believed me or not, he continued to make curry with a relieved expression. Then, within less than 10 minutes, there was a knock on the door. When I answered, Bobby turned pale.
Police?
I'm being targeted by my husband and his affair partner. Lately, I've been feeling unwell, and I suspect I might have been poisoned. The police officers looked skeptical upon hearing this. Bobby hastily interjected.
No way. That can't be true, right? This is just my wife's imagination. She's been tired lately.
Bobby touched my shoulder, but I shrugged his hand away. My imagination? Then what about that phone call earlier?
The phone call? What are you talking about? Anyway, you're just tired. Calling the police like this. How about I accompany you to the hospital? Let's take a break, okay?
Bobby continued playing the role of a caring husband. The police seemed to believe him, and their suspicion turned towards me. At that moment, I pulled something out of my pocket. It was the conference voice recorder I was touching when the call came in. I pressed the playback button and let the contents of the call play out. Is your wife still alive? Let's get together and do it as planned as soon as possible. How much would your wife's inheritance be? The officers' faces grow grim as the woman's voice echoes through the doorway.
What? What the hell is this?
Bobby muttered, his face turning pale. I glared at him. Fortunately, I was adjusting the voice recorder right before the call. The entire conversation is recorded right here.
This can't be.
Bobby seemed on the verge of panicking, and suddenly he tried to run past the police. However, the police immediately chased him, tackled him, and apprehended Bobby. At that moment, a small vial fell out of Bobby's pocket. Please examine that bottle. I'm sure it contains poison. The police picked it up upon hearing my plea. With a stern expression, they informed Bobby,
Please come to the station to explain,
and led him away. Later, I underwent further questioning by the police. Following their advice, I received thorough medical examinations at the hospital. The results revealed chronic poisoning symptoms caused by a toxic substance. I submitted the findings to the police and promptly began treatment. Upon investigating the contents found in Bobby's pocket, it turned out to be the same type of poison that had been harming my body. Bobby was swiftly arrested. Upon further examination, it was revealed that the toxic substance was stolen from the pharmaceutical company where Bobby's affair partner worked. Bobby had been adding it little by little to my food, intending to take my life. Afterward, he planned to inherit my estate and join forces with his affair partner, as Bobby confessed. Both Bobby and his affair partner were arrested and are currently in the midst of legal proceedings. They are likely to be found guilty and sentenced to prison. Naturally, I divorced Bobby. I intend to claim damages from both him and his affair partner through a civil lawsuit. Bobby seems to have been disowned by his family due to the severity of the incident. I have no way of knowing how he will live after serving his sentence. On the other hand, my treatment concluded successfully, and I regained my health as before. I decided to sell the house and have returned to work, actively engaged in my professional life. I never imagined such a turn of events in my life, but I consider myself fortunate not to have lost my life. I'm done with marriage, but moving forward, I want to prioritize myself and embrace a brighter future ahead.